Hey everybody, welcome to the Non-Power Gamers. I'm Dillon.
And I'm Nikko.
And this is your place for everything narrative battle report, creating themed armies, getting your army in the Warhammer and Warhammer Age of Sigmar universes to that place that you really want it to be.
Exactly. So in a couple minutes here, we're going to bust out our own armies, show you the projects that we've been working on, and just show you exactly what we're about.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm excited.
Awesome. See you in a bit.
All right, well, we got a lot of bugs on the table. I'm not really a big fan of all that, but usually I'm hitting them with the flamers, so I don't know. Nikko, what do you think?
I think I have the superior flamer right here with this bad boy. This is my army, I guess, well, two of my armies. Back in the day when we first started, I started with Tyranids, just the whole alien thing, the whole horde bug thing, always.
Yeah, you had tons of Carnifexes.
Yeah, always the best. Carnifexes, definitely one of my favorite units. Tyrannifex is another one of my favorite units, and Gene Stealers. Probably my top three in the Tyranid Codex, not based on how good they are, because they are really good.
Yeah.
But just coolness wise, those are probably my favorite units. So for a bit we played 40k. We were kids in the hobby, didn't have much money to spend. We were trying to scrap by, and I played Nids, and then I went to Salamanders, and then I went to Eldar.
Yeah, so he was all over the place. And
yeah, I remember one of my biggest inspirations back in the day was Wave Samhan.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He was a great guy.
Love that channel.
Taught me a lot of tricks with the Eldar, but they're really good now, so not really needed.
Yeah, you don't really need the tricks when...
And we took a little bit of a break with 40k. Had to do some stuff, mostly high school. And then we got out, we got back into it, and I started back with Gene Stealer Cult, because I remember in 2017, I think it was. Is that when their codex came out? I forget.
I'm not sure, but it was pretty crazy that they got this full release when I remember all they used to have was that fat patriarch and crazy limo. But we weren't into it back then. We just saw those on Google.
They were really just like a footnote in the codex.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember. And then I came back, or when we were getting back into it, I always thought Gene Stealer Cult, they actually had models, they had an army, that was dope. Cousin got me the codex, and that was that. So started my Gene Stealer Cult army, and then I started playing.
So did you start the Gene Stealer Cult army? Was that after the Tyranids or before the Tyranids?
This was after Tyranids, but but I sold my first Tyranid army.
Oh yeah. So, but then you started these blue ones after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember my first Tyranid army was the exact opposite color scheme. It was a bright orange and a bright red.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then. Yeah, so I had the Gene Stealer Cult, and I had to return to the Hive Fleet, obviously. Had to bring it back into it. So this is a small percentage of my force. I'm very excited for the Gene Stealer Cult Codex to drop, because as of filming this video, it's not out yet.
Yeah, when we're filming this, I think next week it's going on pre-order, and they're getting a crazy amount of models. Honestly, that hit us both by surprise, because... Yeah. When Orcs came out, that got me excited and wanted me to start that, and they're hyping it up like it's going to be this huge release, and which it was to a point, but Gene Stealer Cult is getting a ton of models.
Yeah, you really just got a few, basically what was in Speed Freaks.
Yeah, basically, and a few more buggies.
Yeah.
But Gene Stealer Cult was already a new range, which is pretty insane. It was only a 2-3-year-old range, and then they... basically doubled the amount of new models that are going to be in it. So
honestly, every cult model I just love so much, because I always read about the Acolyte hybrids, or read about Gene Stealer hybrids, but at least when I was a kid and playing, we didn't have those. So now that, well, we did, but they were from the 80s. So now just to see this new modern, these new modern kits, they're just so good, and I love them so much. I love everything about the lore. I love how they function. I love that they're just an annoyance, I guess.
Yeah, it's just
can just escalate to be way too big.
I just think it's so funny, how in the lore there's really crazy parts of the story that seem so unbelievable, but can only be in the Warhammer universe. Gene Stealer cults will wait generations to overthrow the planet.
Yeah.
And I think I always tell Nikko this, because I play Imperial Guard and Space Marines, but I think the funniest part about Gene Stealer cult is when they get themselves into a planet, and they get themselves into the Imperial Guard, planetary defense forces of the planet, they'll actually fight harder than the Imperial Guard who are defending the planet, because when the planet gets invaded they don't want it to get destroyed because what was the whole point of infiltrating it in the first place? And they'll get promotions and be like patted on the back for being such great soldiers, when in reality
they're just cultists.
They're just beckoning the Hive Fleet to come eat the planet.
But that's what is just so interesting to me. Like, and they're hilarious. Like, I love the industrial theme, like the whole rising up, fight against this Imperium. Like,
the man.
It's people that truly believe the Tyranids are coming to save them. But
they just get eaten in the end too.
I know they did retcon that, because before they would get eaten like happily, like they knew they were going to get eaten. But now it's like
they're like, what the heck?
Oh god.
Hey, can we get on the Hive Fleet?
Yeah, they're like,
no. You're just part of the biomass now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I got some Gene Stealers painted up. I've got a good amount of Gene Stealer Cult painted up. I wish I had more Rock Grinders.
Yeah, those are crazy.
Yeah, those are one of my favorite units. And, but then these guys happened, had to get back into the Tyranids, and I feel like my mindset for Tyranids is pretty much what... any fluff-wise, like what Tyranids should be, I guess. My Hive Fleet, if you don't know, is Hive Fleet Cos, or some say Cosm. And if you play Bloodborne, you'll understand that. My units, I'm not really defensively oriented. Everything's really
everything's
just hitting you
forward.
100%. I usually like to run Kraken.
Yeah.
That's like lore-wise, that's what in my head lore, that's what these guys are a part of. Mm-hmm. I don't really have any defensive units like Termagants. I don't have that. I don't really swarm Termagants. When I do run Termagants, usually I give them Devourers just to get like that extra kill ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, but usually that's how I like to run them. Just hyper aggressive, just how the Hive Fleet should be.
Yeah, just coming right at you. Nothing you can do. And especially as an Imperial player. I'm just sitting there waiting, and usually it's a shootout with other armies, but with Tyranids and stuff like that, they're just coming right at you.
Exactly, and that's like one of my favorite aspects of playing the Tyranids, is just overwhelming someone. Just like seeing that point where they're like, "This is crazy. This is a bit too much to handle." Just like seeing that on my opponent's face, that's like it's one of the greatest things to me.
It was so insane when all the codexes started coming out in 8th edition, and all these armies were getting points drops. It's like, hey, now I got like 200 more points to play with.
Yeah,
you already had a ton of models, and it's just like, Jesus.
Chapter approved. Wow. We won't get into this a lot now, but like chapter approved, I thought Nids were doing pretty good. I thought we were all right. And then we got points drops like the Tyrannifex, which, I believe, I will always say this, that GW buffed him because I believed in him when nobody else did. He was always one of my favorite units.
That's definitely why.
Yeah, I bought him when he was not great.
Yeah.
But I built a Tyrannifex back when everyone was building Turbogons, because Turbogons were so cool. I built the Tyrannifex because you never saw him, and I gave him the Flamer, which is supposed to be really bad, but he's pretty decent now.
Oh yeah, that thing is brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, he got a points decrease. The Exocrine got a points decrease, like pretty hefty points decreases.
Yeah.
Like I think with my Nid, like my pure Nid list, I can take an extra. Like I went from a 2K list to an 1850.
Oh wow,
like
that's pretty insane.
Like with like a decent list. Gene Stealer Cult didn't get that many.
We're still waiting on the codex.
Yeah,
so
we're waiting on the codex, so I'm not panicking about that. It's coming soon.
So if you had to say, like, take your top 3 units from each army, what do you think? Maybe not necessarily rules wise, but just like from a looks wise, or just maybe your top 3 between Gene Stealer Cult and Tyranids.
Gene Stealer Cult and Tyranids, between both of them, or like for each?
Let's go with each.
Gene Stealer is definitely one.
Okay.
I think I can
both,
put that down for both. For the cult, I really, really like the Acolytes.
Yeah.
I love the power saws, the power weapons.
Oh my god.
They're just like, I just like that they're just half human, half Gene Stealer hybrids. Like nobody really pays attention to them, but they just go crazy with the power weapons. Like I love that.
They're just down in the hive. Gary has a 3rd arm. That's not too weird down there, I guess.
He's a good construction worker.
He's a good worker, so we'll keep him on.
And then I gotta give the 3rd spot to the Aberrants.
Yeah, dude, those new models are incredible.
They got pretty decent now.
Yeah, like stop sign Aberrant.
They do
2019, honestly.
They do have their uses now, because before, I remember Deathwatch Overkill was the only place you could get Aberrants.
Yeah, that's true. And there's only 4 of them.
There's only 4 of them. Yeah. You could only get, and you had to like basically just buy those sets.
Yeah.
They weren't great because they just died easily. Which, like, I mean, like I said, we're not going for like competition, but like when a unit just shows up and dies, that's you don't really want to use it. You
don't have to be a competitive player, but you want units that actually do something, and it's not bad to bring them and it's no fun to bring them.
You want to have fun. Favorite units for NIDS, like I said, Gene Stealers, Carnifexes, and the Tyrannifex. If we're not counting Gene Stealers though, because I already said that for the cult. Probably the Trigon.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, you haven't brought that out in a while, but that thing is brutal.
Because I haven't brought him out for a good reason, because he fails all his charges every time.
9 inches is far.
It's only 8 inches actually, because of the Dream Plans. And
Nico
he rolls the double one.
I don't think it's I don't think it's the Trigon.
No, the Trigon rolls poorly. It's very upsetting. I always try to bust him out when I can, but when he does, he fails, and it upsets me greatly. But that's all right. That's just how he is. He's still a cool model. I remember it used to be a Forge World model, and then they made a plastic.
I remember that. It was like a big deal.
Yeah, and
they
then
don't
they
really
made a
do
plastic
that
kit for it.
Yeah.
Very exciting times. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why I like to play the game. I like bugs and I like aliens. I like the concept of a bug hunt, and I like the bad guys. I got a guard army. I do have a good guy army.
Yeah.
It's and a knight, an Imperial Knight.
Oh,
just one though.
You might be missing. All he's missing is some Smash Captains.
Yeah, I'm just missing some Smash
That's a story for another day.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Don't worry.
But
yeah, I consider Gene Stealer Cult my main army, I guess, because they're the most effort I put into painting.
Yeah.
But NIDS is very, very near and dear to my heart. And
it's hard. It's hard when you have your original army
that
you first started with, and then there's that other army that you kind of. Because it's an army you got into when you got back into the hobby.
Exactly.
But I think one of the coolest parts about especially this faction is the Tyranids, the Gene Stealer cults, they kind of soup together. And what I mean by soup is you're able to put them in the same force together. And I think the really cool thing about cult is you can also incorporate Imperial Guard stuff. So I've seen tons of cool conversions and kit bashes where people use Imperial Guard type models.
Definitely.
And, modify them with some cult stuff and make some really great armies. And hopefully Nico, we'll see that from Nico in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we're planning on doing a battle report with these guys soon.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be cool.
Should it be NIDS or cult is the question.
I don't know. I think with the Codex coming out soon, I think cult is just the way to go.
show that off, definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, but that's why I love it. I love these bugs. They're my favorite. I broke up with Eldar. I hate those guys now. They're the worst army.
Oh man, no, Eldar's not that bad.
No, there's always every edition. There's an army I hate. Like last edition, I hated Necrons.
Oh jeez,
for no reason.
For no reason.
Well, I mean, there's a reason, but but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it sounds good. You know what they say? There's no such thing better than a dead bug. So we'll get into my armies and show you all the units I use to kill these guys all the time.
Absolutely. Be back in a sec.
All right.
And we're back. This time we got Dillon's boys out here. Not exactly the same synergy as my guys. Why don't you go ahead? Start us off.
Yeah, so we got my boys in blue and white, and then the boys in green. So, like Nico said before, we both started off in elementary school with, I don't think he mentioned this, we actually got into the game, I got into the game with the Warhammer 40,000 starter set that had the Black Templars fighting the Dark Eldar. And at first I had no one to play with. I got my dad to paint the Dark Eldar, but he wasn't really into the game like that. But he helped me in paint and stuff. So I got Nico into it, and like he said, he started those Tyranids that he played and then all those other things. But yeah, I started Space Marines, globbed on a ton of paint, put them all together wrong, but hey, it was the quickest way to start rolling some dice and just start playing all these games. So, yeah. So right now, I got my boys in blue, the Nova Marines. I don't know how many of you guys know about those guys. They're a sub-chapter of the Ultramarines. And the cool thing is I started an Imperial Guard army, funnily enough, and wanted to do a quartered scheme. So I painted it up like that, and then Primaris get announced. I'm like, oh wow, this is like the perfect chance to have a huge like a Space Marine that's scaled like the way you envision it in the books, and they look big in comparison to the humans. So I made this army, and when I look up the paint scheme, my Imperial Guard army that I already painted matched the Nova Marines perfectly. So I was like, oh wow, perfect. They can just be an Imperial Guard army that fights alongside the Nova Marines. And then a few months ago, when the Orcs get announced, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start this army. And Nico's got a spare Assault on Black Reach sitting around. He's like, oh, here, just have this. So I started painting that. I got a few more models. And that's going to be led by War Boss Dream Gasha over there, just crushing everybody's dreams out on the table.
Yeah. Well, so far he's had his own dreams crushed.
Yeah, so far he's been getting killed a few times.
I mean, it's not complete.
It's not complete. It's a work in progress.
So now the orcs, they're definitely evil sons, right? I'm noticing a lot of red on them.
Yeah, definitely evil sons, and that was definitely the way I wanted to push the army. I wanted them to be vehicle based, but I think I'm gonna go towards a place where it's a lot of walkers, so some Death Dreads and what's the other one? The Gorkanaut or the Morkanaut? I'm not sure. The one with the huge Gatling cannon, not the one with the force field. Just drop that in with a bunch of boys in it and just have it go to town, because that just sounds awesome, honestly. And I love red. You know what they say, red goes faster. Everything else doesn't matter then.
You don't
right?
really need a +1 though, I feel.
Oh geez,
it's a little
that +1 rule is pretty crazy when you can reroll any dice for the charges with orcs, which is pretty insane. And then we got my Space Marines, who, you know, I really love them too. The rules are pretty good for them. It's a fun army, but I think what I wanted to do with the orcs is just get an army that plays completely different and the models that I really like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I started Guard. Because actually you used to play Cadians.
Yeah, at first, I didn't mention that. I played Cadians when I first got back into it.
Yeah.
And it was a fun army. I ended up selling it off because, honestly, every time I played, it was pretty slow. It was a lot to do.
Yes.
And it's kind of the same play style every time. And it wasn't like my best paint job. You know, that's how it goes, I think. No matter how long you've been painting for, the models you painted last are always probably going to be your best. And you kind of look at those old models and you're like, oh, wow, I can improve on this. And I think that was starting to bother me about my Cadian army. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start over. I'm going to think of a cool idea for my Imperial Guard army. That evolved into a Primaris army. I've added some assassins, some other things, but I think the cool thing about that is it's really themed, and I actually converted all of the Imperial Guard models out of like old Empire bits and some other stuff just to make them different, because I really do love the Cadian models, but I had just finished painting like, I don't know, I think I sold like 80 Cadians and a bunch of tanks, so it was a lot, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Now, funnily enough, I started Cadians. I mentioned that earlier. And I think that I did literally the opposite of what you did, because when I started Cadians, I went in with the mindset of I'm not going to have this be my best painted army. Like I said straight up, I would just do base coats and a wash, and that was it, you know. And normally I like to go into more detail.
Yeah, just to get a tabletop and being able to play.
But I do understand. It gets a little boring.
Yeah, it does.
Sitting back and
the playstyle is a little whatever, but I guess the cool thing is if you make your own regiment, you can always apply whatever regimental doctrines to them and kind of switch it up, and it kind of makes sense. It always leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you're like, oh, I have this fully painted Cadian army, but they're actually Valhallan or they're Talarn. I don't know, like the fluff bunny in me is just like, oh, that feels weird.
You can't have it.
This feels gross, but I don't know. That's to each their own on that type of thing, but I just think it's fun to have your own army that's personalized, and you just have a lot of story behind it. Like you name your war boss, or every game you just remember the guy that you killed with them or the warlord that you took down, and you know, it kind of adds to the story of the model, which I really like, and that's what this hobby's all about. It's just having fun and creating these cool moments with your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, in addition to, you did make your own regiment, obviously, with the color scheme. I'm noticing here you also do a lot more conversions than I do, generally speaking. Yeah,
so I think the thing with me is, whenever I get into a rut where I don't want to paint, I'm just like, okay, I could either do this, I can go play some video games, I can watch TV, but I got all these models I need to get through. So if I'm not feeling like painting, I'll be like, okay, let's just think of some cool ideas and throw some bits together. So I think all my guardsmen are kind of custom in a way, and I just kit bash a ton of stuff. I like looking on eBay for bits. I just go through, sometimes I'll just buy boxes that I know I'll use most of the bits for and not really use the original model, but I think that's a big thing for me in this hobby. That's definitely my favorite part of it. I don't necessarily like building models that are just straight out of the box. I think that just gets boring for me, especially now with how complicated some of the new kits are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces, and I'm like, sometimes it's overwhelming, but when you get one where it's like, okay, I'm really going to take the time to customize it, I think it makes it a little more exciting for me and a little less boring. But yeah, I just want my army to be custom and just, personalized to me, and I really love seeing that on other people's armies, whether it be a custom paint job, a cool character. I'm just trying to add character into my army, and that's all. And Nikko does that with his own paint job on the Gene Stealers. They look really cool. He's made his own hive fleet, so we come at it from different points of view, but it's the same idea.
Because I was going to say it kind of personifies in the paint scheme, because you did make your own, but for the most part, when I paint, I just go for the box art.
Okay.
Like that, because I'm doing that with Seraphim right now.
Oh, yeah.
My Gene Stealer cult is literally like the tutorial that Lord Duncan put out. I followed that completely step by step.
Too thin quotes.
I think the only thing that I customized, like even the Cadians or just base Cadians, I think the only thing that I've customized is Eleanor, which is my Imperial Knight.
Yeah.
She's white and gold, which isn't like the most original thing, but it's a little different. And the mids, like you said, that is a custom hive fleet.
But the cool thing about his army too is the Gene Stealer cult box is so perfect for conversions. It's
exactly.
He could do so much, and I think I've used that box before for the weapons, the human style weapons like the shotguns and the auto guns. I think I have a few of those in this army, but it's just with all the kits they have nowadays. You have the Necromunda, you have the Age of Sigmar, you have the Warhammer 40,000. You can even take stuff from the new Blackstone Fortress, where it's not technically it is in that universe, but those models aren't the best versions of what you can use in a game,
right?
If you get what I'm saying.
Right.
But you can customize them and put them into your army, and I think that's the coolest part about Games Workshop being this huge company that's really focused more on models than rules.
Exactly.
Obviously, the rules are good, but there's a lot of other games that are more for competitive and balance or whatever, but I don't really care about that. I want the coolest models and I want to personalize them.
Exactly. Which is funny because I feel we've kind of been spoiled a little bit.
Yeah, this past year's been insane. All right. Sorry about that. We got interrupted. My dog started going crazy in the backyard.
Yeah, but everything's all right.
I think a Gene Stealer is trying to get under the gate or something. I don't know. But so the release schedule for Games Workshop is just insane, and I get why people sometimes say it's coming out too fast, but you're not obligated to buy everything, but when the models are so cool, you're just
it's hard not to.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to want to start a new army.
Especially with the cult coming out, I feel like I'm going to buy
everything. Well, you are going to buy everything eventually. That goes without saying.
Exactly.
Kinda. But it's just you see a new army. I'm starting Trolls for Age of Sigmar, but I know as soon as they announce a new army for Sigmar at 40K, I have ideas. And I'm oh, maybe I should start this or maybe I should start that. But yeah, that's definitely something we'll talk about in other videos. There's tons of stuff that we want to hit on, and we just want this to be a place where we discuss topics that we're interested in, I think a lot of other people are thinking about, and just have that conversation where it's hey, how can I get into this army? How many armies is too many armies? How can I customize my army? And just stuff like that, because we've been in the hobby for a long time, and obviously we have a lot to learn, but I think we just have so much stuff that we want to share and just have that conversation with you guys and hear your suggestions and hear your ideas too, because there's so much inspiration out there and there's so much stuff that this community is really good for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here are my two armies. I hope to share everything as it grows in the future, because I know we're going to be doing a cool narrative campaign, throw it up on the channel as that gets going, with probably my Imperial Force, probably more Imperial Guard, and just a few Space Marines against his Gene Stealer cults and Tyranids. So Nikko's writing up a pretty good story for that, and I think we're really excited to share that with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to most.
All right. Cool.
All right. Awesome. All right. So that pretty much wraps up the armies we got going on, and with that actually pretty much wraps up the video, I think.
Yeah. Sorry we didn't have tons of content in there. Just kind of talked about our armies, our stories a little bit. But if you guys enjoyed what we were talking about, look forward to more videos that we're going to post. Like I said before, we're going to be doing tons of topics, more on the hobby side of the game. But we're also going to be bringing some narrative battle reports with some really cool writing and really cool story ideas coming from Nikko. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, give suggestions on what we can improve on and anything else, because we really want to hear what the community wants and see maybe what we could add to that. And just let us know how we're doing and anything else. Nikko?
I think that's it. I think they're all good. So go ahead, get out there, keep hobbying, keep playing, and most importantly, keep painting. Keep crafting those stories, because that's what this is all about.
Yeah, and if you start growing a third arm, it's probably not too bad. It'll probably help at your job. So
yeah. Absolutely. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.
Guys.
Bye.